Hello my beautiful people, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so happy that you are here and I am so happy to be here. Today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in September and the last 4 books that I read in August that I didn't get to because I filmed my reading wrap up a few days before the month ended. I do have to say that I did film this entire video with my mic insert in my camera, and as you can see I do not have a mic with me because they are dead, which means that I had no audio for the last half an hour to 45 minutes of filming. So that's fun, that's exciting. But today we are going to get cozy. Today we are going to be talking about some fall reads, some amazing romances, and I'm just really excited to sit down and chat with you guys again about these wonderful books. I feel like university has really been ruling my life, and I really want to take the time today to kind of sit down and talk with you guys about books because that brings me a lot of joy, and sometimes you just need to do things that bring you joy. It's also a super cold and stormy day, so I don't know what's going on, but that is just giving ultimate cozy vibes, and I at this point will do absolutely anything to not start studying for my next 2 midterms because I just did that for my last 2 midterms this week. We are going to get into today's video and we're going to talk about all the books that I read in the month of September and a few that I read in August. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's hop right in. I absolutely have to start this video off with this book because I simply just live in this book and it has changed my brain chemistry. It is The X-Files by Jessica Joyce. Jessica Joyce has become my new auto-buy author because oh my goodness gracious, did she absolutely kill it with this book. First of all, her writing is so beautiful and it reminds me a lot of Emily Henry, and this story in particular is just absolutely amazing. It is about our main character Georgia and Eli, and they are exes. You might have been able to tell by the title, and they are tasked with coming together to help plan their best friend's wedding. Except the wedding is a disaster. Everything is going wrong. It is going awry and it is a mess. And these two have to work together, broken up, to fix the wedding. It is delightful. It is delicious. The tension is amazing. And Eli is genuinely one of my favorite book boyfriends ever. The romance that this man does. He is just... words do not exist. Words do not exist because I can't get into what he did. But what he did was the most beautiful thing I think I've ever read in a romance book, and I am not kidding. And after a year of semi-depressing reads that have not really worked for me, to pick this up and to have this be just everything that it was and more, everything that I wanted and more, it was amazing, and I think that it was just simply wonderful. And I don't want to stop talking about it because unfortunately the rest of my reading month did not go as well as this book did. I loved it. It is living rent-free in my head. I'm a happy camper with this book on my shelf and having experienced the story. The next book that I ended up reading was Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca. Now this book has been on my radar for quite a while. It is about our main character who moves into a haunted ghost town called Boneyard Key, and she particularly moves into the haunted house, the house that is known for having the most present spirit, perhaps, and not only just a regular spirit, but a spirit who has a bad rap in the neighborhood for kind of like terrorizing the children and being a grumpy old lady. But that's not really the case, and the story takes place by discovering the true tale of the spirit that lives in her house. We also have our love interest who works at the coffee shop who has his own paranormal aspects, and just the creativity of how these paranormal beings are communicating, particularly in Nick's storyline, was very entertaining to me. It was just very fall, very cozy, very cutesy, very demure, very mindful. I will say that I really loved the chatty ghost vibes, but there were also parts of the story that didn't 100% work for me. I ended up giving this book either 3 or 3.5 stars. I just felt that the romance occurred a little bit too quickly for my taste, and there was just one other aspect that I can't quite put my finger on that was personally missing for me. So while I enjoyed it, I wasn't 100% invested in it. However, I do think that this book has so much potential if you love a cozy fall read that has spooky elements but isn't scary. Like it wasn't scary, which is great because sometimes I'm a scaredy cat. So it was just like nice and fall. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Ellie, why the heck and Bob did you read a fall book in August? And that is because HomeSense got me. I got my fall pillows, I got a fall throw, I got my favorite little gourd, and all of a sudden it was the end of August and I became obsessed with fall, which doesn't normally happen for me. Normally I'm like in September semi-denying that fall is coming because I don't want school to start and then getting into school. However, August, I read 2 fall books. So overall, I think that this book was very fun, very cozy, very small town with like this kind of like lore of spookiness, but there was just an aspect I couldn't quite figure out. The romance was a little fast for me, but it was a nice read. The next book that I ended up reading was Love of My Afterlife, and I had seen this book absolutely everywhere. Specifically, Carrie Can Read was talking about it, so I immediately picked this book up, and it's about our main character who accidentally dies while eating a microwave hamburger, which honestly, terrifying. But she gets sent to the afterlife. However, before she can be fully admitted into the afterlife, she's like in the waiting room, the lobby, and in pops this other guy. And she's like, oh my god, this is the most beautiful man I've ever seen. I've never experienced attraction like this before. And he's not actually dead. So they can't live forever into the afterlife. He gets sent back to where he came from. He was accidentally there. And so our main character gets sent back to Earth with a condition to find the man that she thinks is the love of her life, kiss him, and she will be reborn. She will get her life back. And this book was very, very quirky. And I think that that worked in its favor and to its detriment. So I think if you're someone who really loves a quirky read, you'll have a great time. It just was a little too quirky for me at times and kind of pulled me out of the story. And one thing that I didn't really like was when our main character was hunting down the man Jonah, she lacked all sorts of personal awareness. And I was actually wanting to throw my book across the room because I was like, girl, you have acknowledged so many times that he doesn't know who you are. He doesn't remember the interactions you had. And yet you are acting feral when you get to see him. Like, he doesn't know you. Like, bring it back, reel it back in. And so that was kind of one of the main aspects of this book that really didn't work for me, is that I didn't really like our main character because I was like, what are you doing right now? Like, what are you doing? We have a visitor. She just came from outside, so she's kind of cold, which is kind of nice because my room's getting a little warm. But if you hear her running around in the background, please do not mind her. But she wanted to come say hi. The last book that I read in August, fitting with my fall theme, was Heartless Hunter. Now this was a lot of fun. As you guys know, I say it every time, I'm not a YA girly, except for a few exceptions that I get convinced by BookTube and BookTok to read, and that is what happened with the Heartless Hunter. This book is a witch hunter witch romance, and I was instantly enthralled. I love this book. I think it was so much fun. I gave it 4 stars or 3.75. I can't 100% remember. I believe I gave it 3.75, but I might knock it up to 4 because honestly this book was so much fun. Our main character Rune is the Crimson Moth, the nighttime vigilante who goes around wreaking havoc because witches are not allowed to exist anymore. They are being hunted. She either finds witches who are living their own life that she knows are going to get hunted and takes them and moves them to a safer place, or she breaks them out of prison until one day she gets herself in a little bit of a pickle and she runs in to the notorious witch hunter Gideon, and it is chaos because they are simply at odds with each other. They both need something from each other, but in different ways. And so this book is a very, very interesting dynamic. I also really loved the magic in this book. I loved the different casting scars. So the magic for witches is through their blood. And so they use their casting scars where they do end up cutting themselves, and that cut goes over it with a silver line. And so they use the cuts to make beautiful works of art and tattoos and very, very intricate. And I just thought that that was the coolest thing, especially when reading it. The way it was described was absolutely magical. The twists and turns that this book took were so much fun, and I will say that it is more upper YA because it does deal with mature themes. I was completely obsessed with it, and I think that why I liked it was because it was a bit more upper YA and new adult, because that's where I like to be. I like to be in the more adult settings. But just in case you're wanting someone to read this who is more in the classic YA age range, I would say that this does have some more mature themes, so just be aware of that. Now in September I read 5 books, 4 were audio and 1 was on my Kindle, and I'll start it off strong with Kingdom of Ash, the final book in the Throne of Glass series by SJM. Now it's no secret that I love SJM. I have my SJM shrine here. I have my original ACOTARs, which you can't really see. I have the new ACOTARs. I got the tour edition. I got my Crescent Cities. I love SJM and the worlds that she creates. However, Throne of Glass was just a series that did not work for me, and I do not know why. I feel like I couldn't get invested into the characters like I did with ACOTAR. I fully believe that Kingdom of Ash is a 5-star book if you are completely invested in the characters and the story. For me, because I didn't have that attachment to the characters and I tried so hard, I really wanted to love these books and love these characters and fall completely into this world. However, that just didn't happen for me. I gave this book 3.75 stars because I think that with the intricacies of the plot, the large cast of characters, what was happening, I think it was really interesting. However, because I didn't have that like love for these characters in my soul that I need as a reader, it didn't work for me. There was also like one key thing that I won't get into because spoilers, that was happening throughout these books that I was like, huh, interesting, and I don't understand why it's happening. I think that if you have the love for these characters, this book is going to hurt, but it's also going to be amazing. However, because I don't, I feel like I wasn't able to fully experience the emotional turmoil, the victories, the highs and lows that you would with this book if you were really invested. The next book that I read was Mother of Death and Dawn, and this book was the 3rd book in the Daughter of No Worlds trilogy, and I gave it 2.5 stars because at the end of the day, I was here for the romance. I was here for Tizana and Max because their relationship was so wholesome and so cute, and Max is definitely not your classic romantasy book boyfriend. He is just soft, he's so sweet, he is so tender, and I love him, and their relationship was so cute, and their relationship was the only thing that let me keep reading because this book was a little bit less of a mess than book 2, but it was still super choppy and the timelines were very confusing to me. You began to get a little bit lost on what has happened, and then it felt rushed because you're like, oh my gosh, we actually just had this giant time jump, but I wanted to see the buildup of that. I wanted to see what happened there, and I didn't get to see it. I just feel that it didn't quite meet my expectations. I felt that the plot went a little bit haywire, a little bit better than the second book, but still not where I thought this book series was going or necessarily where I wanted this book series to go. It did feel a little bit repetitive, and I simply will always love that first book that I gave 4.5 stars to, but this series just fell off for me so hard. And at the end, I just wanted to finish it because I wanted to give it that final try on that last book, and unfortunately it didn't work. I'm sorry to say that before we jump to books that I absolutely was completely obsessed with, we do have to talk about Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. Now, you can also see I have an Elsie section on myself. The Chestnut Springs series is my favorite. I love it so much. Heartless, completely chef's kiss, perfection. I reread it. It's a comfort book. I love her. However, this new series that Elsie has written, it does not work for me, unfortunately. So it actually took me a really long time to buy Wild Love because I kept going to buy it, picking it up in the bookstore, flipping to a random chapter, which I never do, and landing on like a journal entry or a section of the book and like skimming it and being like, I do not like the tone that this book is happening. It feels very immature. What they're talking about feels very immature, and I was like, I'm not liking this. However, the completionist in me really wanted the mountain spines that were special to the first run of printing, so I did end up getting it when there were like 4 of them left, months after release at my local chapters. And then I read Wild Eyes, and unfortunately this book fell to the same detriment as the first book from skimming some sections, that this book just felt very immature, and I would say that Skylar was definitely more immature in this book. We know that Elsie writes sassy female main characters, however Skylar wasn't sassy. Her sassiness just felt very immature. I also wanted more from the story in so many different ways. I wanted more showing and less telling. I wanted more relationship with Wes and his kids. This is a single dad romance series, and we didn't get much time with Wes and his kids for us really to get invested. The spice wasn't really spicing for me, and it lacked in so many aspects. I also did not want to touch the plot twist in this book that was supposed to be like a third act breakup, but not a third act breakup, with a 10-foot pole, because it makes me so angry. The way that this topic is handled for men and women is so different, and it drives me absolutely up the wall. This topic is very nuanced in real life, and I am very frustrated by it and the effects that it has, particularly on women, but not on men at times. And so to have the plot twist that they had as like the third act breakup, I didn't want to touch that subject matter. I was like, I can't handle this with reading. I also am really not liking how this book is handling some other things, and I'm not here for it. Unfortunately, I gave this book 2 stars. And I think that I do not know what the tone shift that has been happening in Elsie's writing, and I'm really sad because the Chestnut Springs series was so amazing for me, but this new kind of direction in the books that she's taking is not working for me personally. After some unsuccessful reads in the month of September, I needed something that I was like, okay, this is going to be perfect. This is going to be exactly what I needed. I'm going to love it. So I picked up my tried and true, The Love Hypothesis. I do not want to hear it. I do not want you to sit here and say, Ellie, you were just saying how Wild Eyes was immature and you did not like it, and you are saying that the Raylo fanfiction between a master's student and a professor is going to be better. And to that I say yes. To that I say I will not be taking any criticisms on this book because I absolutely love it, and it was exactly what I wanted. Obviously it's a 5-star. Obviously I have reread it. Obviously I own it on my shelf, which means that I love it. Simply love this book. And if you haven't heard about it, or you haven't watched any of my other videos in which I'm probably recommending it, it's about our main character Olive, who is a master's student, and she ends up fake dating a professor at the university, not her own professor, in order to allow her best friend on to date Jeremy, who's technically Olive's ex, but Olive and him never really clicked, but On won't go for him even though she wants to because of girl code. So Olive is like, no worries, I will date the professor. No, Olive accidentally kisses him and gets herself into a little bit of a situation, and it's honestly so much fun. I really love this book. It's so fast and beautiful and fun, and I love it, and I'll take no criticism on it because it is delightful. It is joyous, and it really gave me everything that I needed it to give me. The final book that I ended up reading in September was Primetime Romance. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. It is about our main character who gets sucked in to a TV show, her favorite TV show, and the TV show is very reminiscent of me for Dawson's Creek or One Tree Hill. I haven't watched the entirety of those series, but it just gave very like small town, close knit tight-knit community like soap opera drama, and it was quite a bit of fun. Bryn, our main character, is newly divorced, and I think a lot of us who are going through maybe a harder time, we really fall into our comfort shows or comfort books, and that is exactly what Bryn does. So one night she's watching the show with one of her coworkers or neighbors, Josh, and they accidentally make a wish and find themselves in Carson's Cove. And I really enjoyed Josh's storyline in this book. I thought that him being put into this world as the bartender with his own kind of turmoil that he was going through was pretty interesting to see his kind of character development and like finding his place in this world. And I enjoyed Bryn as Sloane, but I just feel like this town lacked some depth. I wanted more lore. Like there were mean girls in this town and I wanted to know why. Like give me the lore, give me the soap opera tea. Like what is going on? Like why is this mean girl so mean to this person? Give me some more lore. And I just didn't get that. And so that was kind of disappointing. I wish there was just some more detail thrown in there. I also will say that the romance in this book wasn't as romance focused in some aspects as I would like it to be, because our main character feels a bit conflicted in some aspects for where she is in her position. And I get it. And I know why it was like that. However, I just wanted more of a different situation. But it did have a very fun town, and I loved the idea of the plot of the book and how it was like this fun little soap opera falling into this world. Little magical realism, I think is what it is. But with all of that said, we are at the end of today's video. I have filmed this successfully now with my mic not attached, meaning that this video has sound, which is very exciting for me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I cannot believe we've hit 150 subscribers. That's actually crazy to me because I just sit here and I yap. And so that even just 150 of you watch my videos is really amazing to me. So thank you so much. I cannot wait to talk to you guys soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye everybody.